Well, good afternoon, everybody. It is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I think it's Wednesday. It's Wednesday. It has been a crazy week for us. My little girl got sick the beginning of the week, and she's on the mend today. So all my days got jumbled together, but nonetheless, it is good to be with you today, no matter where you're listening from, whether it is a gymnasium, maybe it's your kitchen. Adjust this volume a little bit here. Maybe you're cooking dinner, maybe you're riding down the road, whatever you're doing. I'm glad you're here today. I'm glad you're a part of Movement Conversations. If this is your first time here, I'm Chris Hall, and you're a part of a great journey that we started, oh, 18 weeks ago, something like that. Been having podcasts. I think we've only missed maybe one week, maybe something like that. But anyways, I was thinking about today. I was thinking about this week, what we could talk about, what we could share, just some helpful insight as we get ready to approach Christmas. And so I thought about maybe titling this podcast, Keeping It Real for Christmas. Because let's be honest, Christmas looks magical on Instagram. As my wife would says, it's the highlight reels. But behind the filter, somebody is tired, somebody's worn out, somebody's broke, somebody's trying to figure out how to pay for it all, somebody's trying not to argue in the Target parking lot. And I'll be honest with you about it, nothing reveals your spiritual maturity like Christmas traffic and assembling toys with no instructions at midnight. You want to find out how saved you are? Try to deal with all of that. And the reality is, as much as we talk about it, Christmas can be joyful, but it can be stressful, then it can be holy, and it can be heavy, and it can be stressful, holy, heavy, and joyful all at the same time. I mean, literally at the same moment, it can be all of those wrapped up into one emotional gift box. So if we're not careful, I think sometimes what we'll do is we'll celebrate the birth of Jesus by ignoring the pace that Jesus set. Now, hear what I just said. We'll celebrate the birth of Jesus while ignoring the pace that Jesus set. I think, if I could say it like this, that Christmas exposes what we've been carrying all year long. It really does. It really opens up who we are. And if we've been stressful all year long, stress will come out at Christmas. If we've been worried and bothered all year long, it'll come out at Christmas. And whatever we're dealing with, it just has a way of showing up in those moments. I want to talk about keeping it real at Christmas time. And I want to start off by making this statement that there is this pressure to pretend. There is this pressure to pretend. And so let's start with that. If we're starting with something, let's start with the pressure to pretend, because Christmas comes with pressure. Whether you like it or not, Christmas has pressure with it. Pressure to be what? Pressure to be happy? Don't worry. Be happy now. Don't worry. Pressure to be happy. There is the pressure to be generous. That's a tough one to navigate because you want to be good to people, but sometimes the generosity becomes more of a burden because you can't do as much as you want to do, which is not a bad thing. You've got to do what you can do, and that's it. Then there's the pressure to be present, Present. And then there's the pressure to be perfect. So it's the pressure to be happy, the pressure to be generous, the pressure to be present, and the pressure to be perfect. And if you're not careful, family, you'll feel like you have to perform joy instead of experiencing joy. Now, did you hear what I just said? You will feel like you have to perform joy instead of experiencing joy. The reality is that when it comes to this thing called joy and this thing called hope and peace and everything we deal with, it's really something that we should experience more than we have to pretend. I hate eggnog. There's nothing about eggnog I like. My daddy likes eggnog. I don't like eggnog. But some of us don't need the eggnog. We need a map and a group text to be muted for a few minutes. We don't need the eggnog. We need the group text to be muted for a few minutes is what we need. Because the truth is, a lot of people, we will show up at Christmas gatherings, we will show up at events, whatever it is. We will show up to all of these events smiling, but we are carrying grief and disappointment and loneliness and exhaustion, and we are carrying this stuff. And so instead of experiencing joy, We feel like we have to perform that joy. Jesus gives us a text in Matthew. He says, "Come unto me, all you who are heavy laden, and I will give you rest." Notice Jesus did not say, "Come to me when you have it all together." He said, "Come to me, all you who are burdened, heavy laden, you got troubles, you got stuff on your life." He said, "Come to me, those who are tired, those who are heavy." You know what he was really saying? He was saying, "Come to me tired, come to me heavy, but come to me real." And if you can come to him real, I feel like there's something he can do in your life, but you've got to be real about it. You got to be open. You got to be honest about it. Because Jesus isn't impressed by your Christmas smile. He's drawn to your honesty. You may try to have it together for everybody around you, but at the end of the day, he knows your heart. He knows what you're going through. There ain't a whole lot of people. Let me rephrase that. I've been able to mask emotions pretty good, especially in what I do, because you have to hold it together even when you don't feel like you're holding it together. And there are a few people that can crack my shell and know. There's only about 2 or 3 that know how to crack that shell and get to it. They can ask me and I'll just tell them because I just love them and respect them enough. But at the end of the day, there's one that knows past all of that. And he's the one that said, "Come to me heavy, come to me tired, but I want you to come to me real. I want you to come to me with who you are." Because at the end of the day, you don't have to decorate over your pain to be present. You don't have to decorate over your pain for God to be present. You don't have to try to mask it as if it doesn't exist. God wants to know what you're dealing with. He wants to know what you're going through. And I think sometimes when the holiday comes around, we try to put up this big facade as if people don't really know what's going on, but they know what's going on. Can I tell you that Mary, the mother of Jesus, Mary didn't have a perfect setting. She really didn't. Joseph didn't have a perfect plan. Jesus wasn't born in comfort. You know what? Mary was having to figure out something in reality. Joseph was having to develop a plan in reality, and Jesus was born into reality. None of that was perfect. I mean, they didn't have UNC healthcare system. They didn't even have an inn. As cliche as that is, there was no room in the inn for Jesus. The reality is people say they were in a barn. Most people think it was a cave cut out the side of a mountain or out the side of a rock face. But he was born in a manger, in a straw trough. There was nothing sanitary about that at all. This whole, we have this great imagery of what the manger scene looked like. This little beautiful oasis of a barn with lowing animals and lowing cattle. If we just could really honestly tell what it was like, it stunk. It stunk. It was nasty. There was feces around. It was not a pretty picture. The woman gave birth. It was not a midwife. It was a birth of a baby. Nothing great about it. But it was reality. It was not a perfect scenario. Mary didn't have the perfect setting. Joseph didn't have the perfect plan. Jesus wasn't born into comfort. He was born into reality. And I say that to say this: stop trying to mask what you're going through. Just allow the real you to come out. And I say that very gently. Don't go and yell at somebody at Christmas, but I'm saying this to be true. Jesus can't heal you and Jesus can't touch you unless you come to him real. Unless you come to him honest and open and sincere and saying, "Look, this is who I am. This is what I'm going through." I say that about Christmas, but the reality is that the first Christmas, it wasn't clean. It wasn't polished. If you really want to talk about the actual Christmas story without romanticizing it, it was messy. A teenage girl with a divine calling and a public suspicion on her life. A teenage girl with a divine calling and a public suspicion. Now, you know what that suspicion is. They weren't even married yet, and all of a sudden what's going on here? Public suspicion, a fiance wrestling with confusion, a room that was hewn out of the side of a mountain, a cave, a stable, a feeding trough as a crib. There was nothing beautiful about this story as far as the way we romanticize it on Hallmark Christmas cards. Jesus, if I could say it like this, Jesus was born in a barn, but we lose our joy if our living room isn't spotless. We lose our joy if we don't get exactly what we want for Christmas. She gave birth to her firstborn son, is what the book of Luke says. She wrapped him in strips of clothing or strips of cloth. She laid him in a manger because there was no lodging available for him. Now, I know that's very preachy. We could say, oh, the Lord is looking for somewhere to house Jesus. Preached it all. I get it. At the end of the day, this is not a Pinterest story. This is not a Hallmark story. There's nothing aesthetic about this. This is real life, folks. This is real life. This is a story above stories. There was nothing other than the fact that the Son of Man, the Son of God, born to a man and a woman, came into this world. He would change everything for us, but there was nothing aesthetically pleasing about this at all. Because the first Christmas wasn't some spotless, beautiful, something you'd see on the back of a painting. It had some tough stuff to it. Because and the reason I say that is because I need you to get this. God didn't wait for the perfect conditions. He stepped into the imperfect ones. I want that to hit you, and I want to say it again in case you missed it. God didn't wait for perfect conditions. He stepped into imperfect ones. And if Jesus can be born in a barn, he can be born in your mess. The miracle of Christmas is not calm. All is calm, all is bright, round yon bed. The miracle of Christmas is not that all was calm. The miracle of Christmas was that God showed up anyway. Oh, I think I'm going to preach some of this on Sunday, that God showed up anyway, because he's not waiting for it to get calm. God will show up right in the middle of your mess. Just keep it real. God will show up right in the middle of your mess, in the middle of your pain, in the middle of everything. Here's the crazy part. There is a place where joy and pain can coexist. Now, that's not something we say a lot of, because we want one to be the opposite of the other. In other words, we don't want the pain, we just want the joy. But you cannot have joy without first having pain. You can love Christmas and you can love everything about it, but you still can be hurting. You can love your family and love your children, love your spouse, but inside of you, you're wondering when there are people right now that love their spouse and they love their kids, but they are contemplating every day, I'm about ready to walk away from it all. How is that possible? Because it's who we are as human beings. Nobody ever just wakes up one day and decides I'm done. Nobody ever just wakes up one day and says, the day is the day I'm letting that boss know where he can stick it, what he can do with it, blah, blah, blah. Nobody just ever wakes up like that, man. It is a process. Because you can love someone and still be hurting. You can be celebrating but still be grieving. There's going to be people right now at Christmas time, they're going to celebrate and they're going to put on their brightest faces, but they are grieving and they are hurting on the inside. That's the reality of it. That's because joy and pain can coexist. Do you think, honestly, that if Mary, she was pure joy at this part, but there was some pain there because she was giving birth, but do you think that if she had grasped the concept of what he came into this world to do, how much different it would have been giving birth to him at that point, knowing what he was going to do when it was all said and done, that she would have to sit there and watch him endure his last breath on a cross? Totally different story. Joy and pain can coexist. The Bible says the Word became flesh. The Word became flesh and blood. And here's what it did. It moved into the neighborhood. That's what the Message Bible says. The Word became flesh and blood and moved into the neighborhood. Jesus didn't come hovering above humanity. He came and stepped into humanity. Ooh, that's good right there. He didn't come hovering above humanity. He stepped into humanity. I heard somebody say a while back that some of us are one Christmas song away from tears and one cookie away from peace. Glory to God. One Christmas song away from tears and one cookie away from peace. I'll tell you something about pain and joy. The presence of pain doesn't cancel the promise of joy. You may be dealing with something right now, but it doesn't cancel the promise of joy. Weeping may endure for the night, but joy comes in the morning. And the truth is that joy has never been the absence of hardship. It's the presence of Christ. You don't have joy because the hardship leaves. You have joy because of the presence of Christ. That's what makes the difference. You can still be going through all types of hell, but if Jesus is in the middle of it, the Hebrew boys were thrown into the fiery furnace. But what made the difference is who was in the middle of the fire with them. You may be going through one of the toughest times in your life right now, and you may feel hopeless. You may feel burnout. You may feel wore out. You may feel like you want to give up. But the presence of joy is not that the hardship leaves. You know how many people said, if I ever can just get enough money, I'll be all right. And they get money and they still got troubles. You know, millionaires have troubles and billionaires have troubles. I know you think, but they got troubles. They got troubles like you and I don't have. They got troubles like you and I don't have because everybody wants to be their friend. Everybody wants to be, but do you know how many of these billionaires get hit up every day when somebody wants money? It's all they get hit up with. Everybody has troubles. It's just on different levels. Just on different levels. But this season, I think this season, what it does, it gives you the permission to feel what you feel without guilt because you understand who came into the world during what we perceive to be this season, Christmas time. Because it's okay to feel broke. It's okay to feel like it's okay to say, I'm having a tough day. Like, this is difficult right now. Because what happens is he wants to step into your life. He's not hovering above humanity. He's trying to come into humanity. He's trying to come into your life. Because I'm going to tell you right now, and it's took years for me to figure this out, but this is a lesson I've tried to live by, that God is not offended by your honesty. You know what God is? God's drawn to it. Come to me, all you who are heavy laden, burdened down. In other words, come to me, the people that are real. God is not pushed off by your honesty. I was growing up, so my parents used to tell me, just be honest with us. I tell my little girl that, just be honest, don't lie, be honest. And she don't even, I don't know if she conceptualizes what the ideology of lying is right now. I mean, I know she'll fib, but I don't know that she understands that it's fibbing. We tell her that she shouldn't lie and she shouldn't fib, but in her mind, she's just knowing that she's going to get out of trouble, and it's just the human nature. As beautiful as she is, she was born in this world. She was born into the sin nature like all of us are. It's just a fact. There's no way to cookie coat it and candy coat it. The only difference is right now, she's under the age of accountability, so she doesn't necessarily she's not figured that part out yet. That's what we have to do as parents and leaders, is to help them figure that out. But I think sometimes we get caught up in life that we don't want to be honest about something. I'm struggling here. I'm dealing with this. I have an issue here. We want to mask it and act like everything's all right. And the problem is, when good things happen, we act like that stuff goes away. But when we sit alone by ourselves, some of those reflective times in my life, or when I'm in a deer stand by myself, when I'm laying at bed at nighttime and it's quiet and nobody's around, and I have to begin to decompartmentalize some of this stuff I'm dealing with. And that's when the reality comes out. But that's when I have to say, Lord, you're not afraid of my honesty. You're drawn to it. You have to learn if you want to be real, you gotta be honest about it. Lord, I'm struggling with this. I really don't want to go to their houses at Christmas time because they try to act like they're better than everybody, or I don't feel like we have enough, or I don't feel like we've done enough, or our family doesn't have it together, or just be honest with the Lord. I hope I'm helping you today. Just be honest, because he's drawn to your honesty. So how do we keep it real? If we're keeping it real at Christmas time, if we're keeping it real practically, I think if we can get practical about it, what does that look like to be practical about it? I think, first of all, we have to lower unrealistic expectations, and that is difficult. That is difficult. When I was growing up, I think every parent has told their kids this. Most parents have told their kids this. Most parents that have lived middle-class lives, and maybe lower than that sometimes, maybe we've all been told that growing up, you know. It's kind of tight this year. You don't get a whole lot for Christmas. See, if you tell your kids that early, then they don't expect it. Santa don't have as many elves this year. You may not get everything you wanted. But my parents, they never built this false expectation in my life about Christmas time. They would tell me up front, you're probably not getting that this year. That way I didn't expect it. Now, if they told me, oh, you're going to get that, and I didn't get it, then my expectation was let down. But if you lower those expectations, if you lower unrealistic expectations, you're probably not going to get a 1967 Corvette this year. Probably not going to get it. So you lower those unrealistic expectations, because you don't have to recreate everyone's childhood memories. You don't have to recreate all this perfect stuff. Now, I'm talking about the Christmas side of things. You don't have to recreate all this perfect stuff. Sometimes you got to let the expectations down and say, if you don't go in, I've learned a long time ago, especially meetings and things. I'm not a big meeting person anymore like I used to be. I love to go to meetings, but now I'm just like, let's just email and let's just FaceTime or whatever. But I learned a long time ago, if I walk in a room with some lowered expectations, if they don't get met, then I'm not as upset. I'm not as upset. I think sometimes some of us, especially in the holidays, Christmas time, we are chasing Hallmark Christmas with a Walmart budget and a tired spirit. We had a realtor years ago when we first bought our house, same house we're in now. We had a realtor and we were looking at houses, and our budget did not allow for a lot. I think we bought we bought a foreclosed home, got it real cheap, done some work to it. Now it's valued a little bit better now, of course, because of time and interest and inflation, I guess. But my realtor, she was a family friend, and I trusted her. I mean, I did. I never bought a house before. I remember I bought our house. We bought our house with $500 down earnest money. That's all we had to put down was $500 down earnest money. Now that's almost 20 years ago. And I remember her telling me one day, she said, Chris, she said, I never forget these words. She said, you have champagne taste with beer money in your pocket. And I didn't realize what she meant until a few days later when she said, Chris, she said, this is what you want, but this is what you can afford. She said, you want champagne houses, but you got beer houses in your pocket. But in other words, what she was telling me was lower your expectations. You're not going to get approved for a $300,000 house. They're lovely. They're wonderful. You're just not going to get approved for it. And if you could get approved for it, you can't afford it. So lower your expectations. Let's bring it down to the reality that you need to be looking somewhere between $90,000 and $125,000. Big difference, big difference. But what we got, we love, and we love today. But you had to lower those expectations. And I think some of us, we are chasing a Hallmark Christmas. We're chasing something we see on TV, but we got a Walmart budget and a tired spirit. And here's what I found out in life is that peace comes when expectations shrink and presence grows. Let me say it again. Peace comes when the expectations shrink and the peace grows. So our peace is bigger than our expectations when we are expecting this stuff. You understand what I'm saying? You can't go buy a Walmart ham and bake it for 45 minutes and pay $20 for it and expect it to taste like a honey baked ham that you just paid $100 for at Thanksgiving or whatever it was, because they're expensive. I hadn't bought one, but I've had them and they're good, but they're expensive. There's a difference. Lower your expectations. So just don't develop these unrealistic expectations. If you know it's going to be like it is at Christmas, and you go in there and say, you know what, I'm all right with it. I want my peace to be real, because if my expectations shrink and his presence grows in my life, if his peace gets bigger, then I can manage it. So lower unrealistic expectations. There's just things that aren't going to happen. Lower those. Go ahead and deal with that to begin with. And tell your kids that. And if you know you're going somewhere for Christmas and you know some family members are struggling, and just tell them, hey, look, guys, we're just going to hang out and enjoy ourselves. Don't go in expecting a bunch of mess. Just enjoy the moment. So lower those unrealistic expectations. And then you got to protect your pace. Protect your pace. I didn't say peace. I said pace. Jesus rested even during purpose-filled seasons, even when he was on the brink of giving everything for humanity. He knew how to break away and rest, break away and rest, break away and rest. I love the deer hunt. I love the fish. But this year I've noticed that deer hunting for me has been more of resting than it has hunting, honestly. I'm just sitting there. I'm allowing my mind to rest. I'm not really thinking about anything, praying some, just sitting there, just enjoying the moment, just resting. Not that I don't get to rest at home. My wife creates a beautiful home, a beautiful house. She gives us a beautiful pace of life. She keeps things organized, and she really does. Lord God, I wish I made enough money for her to be a stay-at-home mom. We joke about that all the time. I told her, I said, we can't vacation and go to Disney with just one salary. But she really does, and I don't ever take that peace that she creates, because a woman has an amazing gift to make peace in a home if she wants to. And she does that. But there are moments where I just have to unplug from it all, not being a dad, not being a husband. I just have to unplug from Chris. And I have to allow myself to be given to rest, whether that's 45 minutes or an hour sitting in the deer stand or riding down the road. I like to ride down the road in the silence sometimes, just in the silence. So you protect your pace. Jesus said this. He said, come away by yourselves to a desolate place and rest a while. Think about that. Just get away. Just Let me tell you something. You ready? You ready, pastors, leaders? You're listening to this. Burnout doesn't honor God. Now, I'll be honest. I know a lot of pastors take sabbaticals, and I get it. I've taken some small sabbaticals, but I'll be honest. I'm not a sabbatical fan, and maybe because I don't need it yet. Maybe I don't. Maybe I haven't had a need for it. But I love preaching. I love people. I love being here. I think what we need sabbaticals from sometime is, and I'm talking to pastors and leaders, I think what we need sabbaticals from sometime is the mechanical side of things. The mechanical side of things. Preaching has never been a burden to me. It's been a joy to be able to preach the gospel. Now, what I've preached sometimes has been a burden emotionally because I've known the heaviness of it, but it's never been a sabbatical for me. I got to I've preached too much this month. Listen, whether you, and I know it's different from everybody, so I can't speak right. I can speak for Chris Hall. I get it, but I'm a very intense preacher when I preach. Very intense, very emotional, I'm into it. But I've never felt like I had to take a sabbatical from that. I love preaching. I think I missed the pulpit one time last year. I was on vacation one time and missed it. But I love preaching. I love being here with the people. The mechanic side of things, the leadership side of things, the organization side of things, there are times you need sabbaticals from that. There are times, and I get it, and I understand, and I'm not trying to get the semantics of that. But I think there are times you have to protect your pace, because here's what I've noticed, and I say all that to get back to this thought. Burnout doesn't honor God. Now, if you're burning out because you're doing too much, then by all means, take a sabbatical, take a vacation, take a break, whatever. Do what you got to do to protect yourself. But burnout has never honored God. But I think a reason a lot of times we burn out is because we pour out spiritually, and we pour out spiritually, and we don't take the time to be refilled. I don't take meetings on Monday. I don't take many calls on Mondays. I don't make major decisions on Mondays. I sure don't do it on Sunday, because after I've poured out and after we've prayed and prophesied and preached and laid hands and whatever we've done that day, given and served and led, I'm not always in the best frame of mind. It's not that I'm a carnal sinner, but I've just given everything I've got. And so I need to take a day or two to reposition myself and get refilled and get repurposed, because burnout has never honored God. So protect your pace, protect your pace, protect your pace. And then I think you have to be willing to invite Jesus into the ordinary. Now, understand me here. I'm not just talking about church services, but I'm talking about kitchens. I'm talking about cars, and I'm talking about conversations. Kitchens, cars, and conversations. Not just in church services. You don't just need to be meeting with Jesus in church services. That is a plus, and I believe in it. My light just went out behind me. I believe in everything about it. I believe in being together, protecting the unity of the saints when we come together. I believe in all of that. But at the end of the day, please hear me. I'm having a squirrel moment, because if you're watching this, my face is just washed out because of the light in front of me. I need to fix it, but I can't. But the light behind me went out. But it is what it is. I digress here. But I lost my train of thought. Let me just rewind here. Oh, yeah. As much as it is in church services, sometimes you got to invite him into your home and invite him into your kitchen and your conversations and your living room. And in other words, invite him into the ordinary, because God isn't looking for a perfect moment. He's looking for an open heart. And if you can have an open heart, you can invite him into the conversation. And when he gets in the conversation, he begins to change everything. A lot of times he doesn't show up because he's not invited to show up. Invite him to show up in the conversation. Invite him to show up in what you're doing. Invite him to be a part of it. And so those three things, I think, are really how we keep it practical. We lower unrealistic expectations. You protect your pace. And then outside of all of that, you invite Jesus into the ordinary. Invite Jesus, protect your pace, and lower your unrealistic expectations. And if you can do that, I think you can have a real Christmas. You can keep it real at Christmas time. Let me say this. If I could leave you with one thought, it would be this. Christmas isn't about pretending everything is okay. It's about trusting that God is near. I'm going to say it one more time. Christmas isn't about pretending everything is okay. It's about trusting that God is near. This season, don't just celebrate that Jesus came. Celebrate he came humble, he came present, and he came accessible. You don't have to clean yourself up like you think you do. You don't have to fake joy. You don't have to carry it alone. He came so that you could be real and you could be honest. Isaiah said, "For unto us a child is born, and his name shall be called Wonderful, Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace." You ready? Not the Prince of Pressure, Not the Prince of Performance, the Prince of Peace. Not the Prince of Pressure, not the Prince of Performance, but the Prince of Peace. Let me give you one more joke. You ready? Here you go. If Jesus can handle a stable, he can handle it's funny to me. It's probably not funny to you. He can handle your family dinner. If Jesus can handle a stable, he can handle your family dinner. Hey, listen, it has been about 30 minutes. Hey, look, I may take next week off. I'm not stressed. I'm trying to do these podcasts as much as I can, but I want to make sure I have real content for you. And I don't want to give you a bunch of stuff that you just don't need. And so my plan is right now to give you one the week of Christmas, but if not, I'll give you the one the week after Christmas. So if you see one go up next week, it'll go up. If not, it'll be my Christmas gift to myself for taking a week off. But if so, it's a gift to you. I'm planning on doing one next week, but we'll see what happens. Hey, listen, do me a favor. If you can, help us get the word out. Would you like this podcast? Would you share it? Would you send it to somebody that needs an encouraging word? Maybe this didn't mean nothing to you, but maybe you know somebody that it could change their life. Would you just tag it along, send it to somebody else, let them know that there's a podcast called Movement Conversations with a crazy country boy from North Carolina that just wants to share the good news of Jesus Christ. Listen to this and remember, don't forget this. Jesus didn't come for perfect people. He came for present ones. He came for present ones, people that are there. I love you. God bless you. Hey, listen, if I don't see you again, or if I don't hear from you before Christmas, if we don't talk, if I don't do another podcast before Christmas and it's after Christmas, let me go and tell you right now. Let me be the first one to tell you, ready? Merry Christmas. Can I tell you my favorite song for Christmas? Are you ready? Grandma got run over by a reindeer, walking home from our house Christmas Eve. You can say there's no such thing as Santa, but as for me and Grandpa, we believe. My favorite song in the world, Grandma got run over by a reindeer. I love you. God bless you. Don't you get run over by a reindeer. You call me, I'll kill him for you. I love you. Have a great Christmas. We'll see you at the new year. Have a great day.